Guildmaster Rick here. Thanks for tuning into the last episode of the season. I'd like to apologize up front for the quality of my audio capture this episode. Please bear with it and watch out for next season or maybe some projects we'll be doing in between seasons.
Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
SAG-AFTRA makes it back to the negotiating table. We follow a long string of tangents starting with TMNT and find out what games we'll probably be playing until next year, because that's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I am your Guildmaster Rick Perry, and for Halloween, I'm going to be Luigi.
And I am your Guildmaster Baron Kane, and for Halloween, I'm going to be Jackie Daytona, normal human bartender.
And joining us for our season finale is a returning guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Caitlyn, resident cinephile, even though we're not talking about too many movies or anything today. I've been on here a couple times. I am the host of another podcast called Operation Silver Screen, where we talk about some older must-see movies. But I'm happy to be back today. And I don't know what I'm being for Halloween. I have, no Halloween plans. I know. So, a lot of people right now have COVID where I'm at, or are sick, or... So, it's just like... all the plans that I had just kind of been falling off the wayside. So I don't know what I'm doing. I think it's just going to be a stay at home and watch horror movies kind of night.
I have a 5-year-old, so it was really easy to decide what it was going to be for Halloween because she was like, I want to be Princess Peach. And I was like, cool.
Perfect.
So we were actually chatting a little bit before the cast. There's been some updates in the SAG-AFTRA strike. They met at the table today, if I'm not mistaken. And Baron, you were talking about some stuff that got discussed?
Yep. Apparently the CEOs came back to the table. They offered an improved deal. I don't really have a lot of details on what the improved deal was, but I believe it was not good enough. And I think it's not good enough because the cut of streaming revenue was not on the table. So.
Gotcha. It makes me curious then of what they've been saying about the AI usage and stuff for actors' likenesses. I'm curious where we're at with that on the table.
Maybe that was part of the improved deal. But it's going to be important that they get that streaming cut.
Let's see. The studio, and just to let you know, I am getting all this from Variety.com. Apparently, they offered to pay actors a bonus residual if their shows attract a sizable viewership, which the companies aren't offering any kind of numbers on memberships or viewership or anything like that. So I guess it's completely up to them to be like, well, we didn't get enough viewers for you to be able to get a cut.
That's so stupid, because if you just made it a percentage, then it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter what the viewership. If you're not making a lot of money, you're not giving out a lot of money if it's a percentage. What you're really afraid of is it being a runaway success and that percentage being a really big number, and you don't want to give up that number.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but we see you.
Yeah.
You're not sneaky.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't think anybody cares anymore. I think they're just kind of going through the motions now. They don't care that people know exactly what they're doing. As long as they go through the motions, they're quote-unquote safe. So...
Who's going through the motions? SAG or the producers? Okay.
Like the CEOs and stuff. They're just doing the whole, coming to the table and giving them an offer that is completely unrealistic. And it's like, we know what you're doing, guys. Let's just cut through the bullshit and just lay it out on the table, and we will figure this out. But negotiations, I never understood haggling. I don't like it. It's dumb.
Yeah, a proper negotiation is one where both parties leave the table feeling as though they've been screwed over.
That's fair.
And it's going to be a long time until we can get the CEOs to that point.
Oh, yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah, I think especially since they just wrapped up with the WGA, they're going to be more hesitant to come to agreement with SAG.
Yeah, because they already lost a bunch of money, and now they're about to lose a bunch more. But the fact of the matter is, they try to pretend like they have all the power. That is, as long as they don't make the agreement, and as long as the actors and the writers aren't working, like they can just wait them out. But there are too many people out there ready to help the writers and the actors. And at the end of the day, I think they have the power. If they want to get shows made and they want to make money, they're going to have to give them at least some of what they want.
Yeah, I feel like they underestimated like the general public opinion. And I think too, I was talking to a friend of mine about how many strikes in general industry, not just in the film industry, but in general there have been. And like what the general public is putting up with, I think post-COVID in work conditions and with the inflation that we've been having, like people just aren't standing for this type of stuff. And I think that they underestimated the solidarity that people have with these guilds.
Yeah, they keep trying to say that, like, you know, hey, as long as you keep striking, there's not going to be entertainment. And they really think that we as the general public will be mad at the actors about that because we don't have new shows to watch. Mm-hmm. And that's not what's going down.
Yeah.
That's not how you get us on your side.
I think it doesn't help that, like, you know, I know you brought up the inflation. I think it doesn't help that a majority of the public also knows that inflation is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I realize that, you know, there are some costs that have raised, but the level of inflation that has happened, it's ridiculous. There's so many companies that are just doing it because they know they can, and just slap on inflation on it as a label to, you know, make us feel better about it. But I think most of us know that that's bullshit. So
yeah, you can't sit here and say that you have not enough money to pay these writers and pay these actors, and then continue to increase the price of your streaming service, crack down on password sharing, and all these other things. You're bringing in more and more money every year and increasing that bottom line every year, and then trying to say you don't have enough money. I
was about saying, just while at the same time recording record profits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. These companies are recording record profits, but then raising the prices because they aren't making enough, I guess.
Yeah, but isn't that just Netflix recently just released their like profits and like their information as far as streaming? I think they're doing like really, really well, but then they're talking about raising it again.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The shareholders see them go year over year, reporting higher numbers every year. And in order to keep those shareholders happy, they have to continue to grow. They can never have a down year. They can never have a year that was less than the previous year in order to keep shareholders happy. And that's why it continues to grow and grow and grow. And it's going to reach a point where we're tired of it and we're just not going to pay anymore.
Yep.
And all the shareholders and all the CEOs and all the billionaires, they don't care because they'll just move on to the next thing. They'll just let it collapse.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm at the point with streaming in general, too, where I'm just like wanting to go back to physical media. I find myself buying more and more Blu-rays recently because, I mean, what these streaming services even have to offer a lot of times isn't great. And they have this power at their fingertips to just, you know, erase, cancel their shows that they have anyways. And then if it's something that's streaming exclusive, I mean, that's gone. That's gone. You're not accessing it anymore. So, like, I feel that we had this pickup of streaming post-COVID, and the benefits of that, obviously, even going in person to theater and so. But I feel like we're definitely seeing, I wouldn't say the downfall of streaming, but I think that something's going to have to change from what we're doing because the prices keep increasing, and for what?
I think it's the rise of piracy. Is what we're looking at.
Yeah, definitely.
During the 90s, we had the original rise of piracy, and we're just looking at the rise of piracy. It's coming back. Everybody got complacent. All the pirates kind of hung up their pirate hats and came back to the shore because, you know, streaming was easy and streaming was cheap. And the more that they make streaming not easy by making hundreds of streaming services, and the more they make it not cheap, the more likely it is that we're all going to say yo-ho and head back to the seas.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm more than willing to pay for, you know, entertainment. I'm willing to pay the people who, you know, put forth the effort to, you know, act and write and everything like that. But these companies are going to do that, to keep raising these prices, to milk me of everything I'm worth, get blood from a stone, then yeah, sorry.
Not to mention, with all these strikes, you're proving that the money is not going to the people who are making these shows.
Yep. Yeah. And then, yeah, would I be sad that I didn't have any more shows or anything like that? Maybe, but I could read. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I love movies, I love TV, but shut it all down. I'll read. What if they don't make any more books? I already have books. There are libraries. Sorry, ma'am. my level of entertainment is never going to change.
We can read and we can play TTRPGs until the end of time.
Yep.
Or just support indie filmmakers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And A24. But yeah, no, I mean, there's plenty of indie films, and you know what? That's the other thing too. Is during the first writer's strike, it wasn't indie film people, but they were putting stuff out on YouTube that were, no one was getting paid for or anything like that. They just put, like, Joss Whedon did was it Much Ado About Nothing, or it was a Shakespeare.
Dr. Horrible? Oh, no, Much Ado About, no, yes. Was it that one? With, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they filmed it in black and white.
He filmed it in his house.
Yeah.
It was filmed during the weekend, at someone's house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was Much Ado About Nothing.
Which is really cool, but that also kind of proves we're still going to have people willing to entertain us. Mm-hmm. Because it's art. Once you get down to it, it's art. People are going to want to create art. And they are going to do it whether they're getting paid or not. Now, once it comes down to it, like you said, we get these independent artists. We're going to take care of our independent artists.
We'll find ways to get them money.
Yeah.
Be it Kickstarter, Patreon.
There's ways. I'd say, sorry, this is coming from someone who does work in independent film. Mm-hmm. Filmmaking has never been more accessible. The technology, you really can make a film with whatever. Money is still always going to be an issue.
Yeah.
But you have to cater your story to what you want to tell and what you have. I mean, you have to cater your story to what you are able to tell with the money that you have. It's definitely still is, it's all still about who you know, how much you have, but the playing field's definitely still open for a lot of people that it wouldn't have been previously before, the digital era. Before, when we had actual film, when we had programs that weren't accessible, it was a lot different. But now everyone has a camera. Everyone has a camera.
I've seen
so you have pretty high quality camera too.
I've seen lots of films that were just filmed on an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, filmed and edited and all that stuff. But and it's amazing what people can do if you get the right stuff, and and just having an eye for what you're doing makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So.
And you're talking about how it's been more open than ever. And I'm not saying this would ever happen, but imagine if these companies, these big studios, did just decide to shut down because they felt like they weren't making enough money. And imagine how open it would be then if all of a sudden all that money wasn't going to those studios. And every consumer who was paying for movie tickets and every consumer who was paying for streaming services had that money to pay for the entertainment they wanted. And not saying, it would be perfect or anything, but it'd be even more open than it is now.
Yep.
Point is, we'll figure out a way to entertain ourselves. By saying that you're not going to produce new shows because the actors aren't giving you what you want at the negotiating table, that we're not going to get new shows, that means nothing to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what new generation of filmmakers come out of this. Because there's always different eras in film, and back, with Spielberg, George Lucas, they were the film school generation. So they were the first group of people who went to film school, and they kind of rejected the studio ideals because studios weren't making the type of films that they want to see. And so now, this is basically our foundation of cinema right now with these big directors. So I'm curious to see what the new wave of film will be.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the directors who grew up watching Dropout come up with.
Oh, yeah. Man. And it's funny, too, because I guess I never got to that point in the thought process, too, of thinking of this next generation of filmmakers that are being molded by current developments.
Mm-hmm.
What those developments are going to do to their progress.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. Even in the next 10 years, even what's filmmaking going to be in 10 years? I'm excited.
Now, as long as we're talking about the future of film, let's go ahead and talk about the future of tabletop RPGs for a little bit, because there's a couple products that I've been looking at that have been coming out that I'm really excited about. And as we know, a lot of us are looking for something to replace Dungeons and Dragons because Wizards of the Coast hasn't been the greatest. I haven't been the best boycotter, to be honest. I did buy the Planescape books. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I did it. They were on sale. I'm a bad boy. Sorry. But there are other options out there. And I recently saw something that we've talked about on the podcast previously that's kind of getting a revival, like on BackerKit, which is kind of like Kickstarter. And they are remaking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness.
Which I am an owner of the older copy.
Right.
Gotcha. So that's a remake. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm assuming they're going to make some changes, obviously, but even the front cover looks different. But I'm imagining the content is going to be different. It's still Palladium, so it's still going to be the same crazy game system that Palladium has. Not the biggest fan of Palladium game system. Like, I can't stand Rifts. It's too open-ended, but when you have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they are essentially stuffing it into one little world. And actually, even before that, I believe it was after that. I believe the game I'm thinking of was before the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. I believe it was after the bomb.
Right.
And that's essentially, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, except, all animals and stuff like that, and they got mutated by the bomb, blah, blah, blah. And then, for some reason, they got licensing for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so they released that.
So I'm going to read this directly from the BackerKit page. This Kickstarter campaign features a relaunch of the original TMNT role-playing game and sourcebooks, sought-after collector items that have enthralled generations since their release in 1985 as one of the first licensed TMNT products. They are returning to print as 2 deluxe hardcover collections of RPG and sourcebooks. Each is completely remastered, includes rules clarifications, and is updated to full color. Bonus materials includes an array of new artwork never before seen behind the scenes, info and art, remembrances and tributes by renowned comic book and RPG creators Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, Freddie E. Williams III, Stephen Cummings, Sophie Campbell, David Peterson, Jim Lawson, and many more.
That's cool. And I take that back, a little amendment. After the Bomb was a supplement to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TTRPG.
Gotcha, kind of like a post-apocalypse kind of deal.
Yeah. That's cool. I heard you say Kevin Eastman, but I didn't hear you say Peter Laird. Did you say that?
I did.
Okay, good. I was like, wait a minute. That'd have been horribly awkward.
I never got to play this game. A reprint of the same game, just with some rules clarifications, sounds awesome to me. No need to reinvent the wheel here, and just all the bonus material I'm pumped about.
Oh, yeah. The original game was a lot of fun. Again, not a huge fan of Palladium game system, but it seems to be perfect for this setting.
Right.
So, because, in this... So, you are, both of you are familiar with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So, in this, the ooze affects people and animals in different ways. So, you could start out as an animal and get the ooze, and then you gain human intelligence and anthropomorphic features, or you could be a human and you take on animalistic features. Now, the way it's set up is you have different intensities of mutation. You could still look like a human and just have very, very little animal features, or you can look mostly like an animal and have a human intelligence, and anywhere in between that. So, and it costs points to be able to take on certain mutations and everything like that. So it's really, really customizable, your characters are, which I think is a lot different than a lot of TTRPGs out there. Character creation takes... I'm just imagining if this was a video game, you would be hours in character creation, just sitting in front of a mirror, figuring out what you look like. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that part sounds fun.
Yeah.
And you said this is based on comic series as well?
Oh, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was originally a comic series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is right. I always forget that which one came first.
It's probably almost based entirely on the comic book series based on
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is. At the time, which, when I first got it, I had only been exposed to the TV show at the time, which was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And the comic book was nothing like it. In fact, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't read any of the comics. My familiarity is just the show and some of the movies.
Right. The book, the TTRPG, actually was the first time I learned about Baxter Stockman, how they whitewashed him in the cartoon, and how his origin is a little different. The Mousers were an actual thing. I thought that was just a thing that they made up for the cartoon. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Oh, also that the foot soldiers aren't robots.
Now, this is a Kickstarter campaign, so while it says it's just like a reprint with rules clarifications, Nickelodeon's stamp is on the cover of the book.
They have to, yeah.
I would not be surprised if we don't see some of the stuff from the shows maybe added. I mean, because like I said, it's a Kickstarter campaign. There could be stretch goals. There could be bonus stuff. So we might get, I don't know, stats for every set of the Turtles. Might be neat. Like for different shows.
Oh, for all the different shows. Gotcha.
Okay.
You never know.
Yeah.
I feel like Kickstarter has become such a big resource in general in the past, like just the past couple years. I feel like my experience with Kickstarter was always like, oh, you're doing like indie small things, but I feel like even more well-known like properties are using it. I've seen a lot of like well-known influencers and stuff like promoting stuff on there. So it's interesting.
I will say that I'm not a big supporter of like people who already have a bunch of money getting onto Kickstarter and doing things, because it's like, that's not what I see Kickstarter for. Kickstarter is for the indie developers that don't have that liquid resource to just get this thing started.
Right.
They may have a great idea. They may have a great product, but they just don't have the money to produce it, to advertise for it and everything like that. And that's what Kickstarter is for. Then you get like these big time directors that have millions of dollars, and it's like, oh, I'm going to kickstart this new movie. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I know producers. Do it.
Yeah, I've been interested in seeing how it's been for like book publishing, because I know recently, I don't know if you're familiar with Brandon Sanderson and his books, but I know he did a whole Kickstarter campaign as a way to publish his books instead of going through like a normal publishing route recently. And that kind of really changed the game.
Yeah, I approve of that. I approve of that highly, because it's like, this may run counterproductive of what I just said, but to me, you have a book. I forgot the word for author for like a hot second. For like a hot second, it was book artist. For like anyways.
Them book artists.
So you have these authors, but they have to go through this publishing company, because there are so few authors that are going to self-publish. So few. Mm-hmm. But then they go through these publishing companies, and like a lot of that profit that they would normally have made are going to like their agent, to their manager, to their publishing company. And, the agent and the manager are probably supplied by the publishing company. It's a mess. And they probably get it's kind of like musical artists too. Their record label probably gets most of their money.
Publishing companies aren't what they used to be either, if all the different mergers and whatnot that we've had over. I mean, it's the same issue with studio control. You're talking about like major publishers, and the indie publishers are just trying to survive.
Yeah, it's sad, but that's kind of why I've been really, really trying to, and I'm going back to TTRPGs, but that's kind of why I've been trying more and more to try to get more indie publishers and stuff like that. Like the whole, mine and Rick's very strict boycott of Wizards of the Coast.
Damn it. I'm terrible. I really to be fair, I felt bad about that purchase from beginning to end. I felt I'm just gonna. But as long as we're talking about it, you know what company never has a problem paying their artist?
I don't.
Tvillain.com.
Really?
T-Villain is a t-shirt site where you'll find a killer limited edition shirt being sold for $13 only while supplies last. Every Monday, the site features a new design by a new artist. We would tell you what's featured right now, but by the time you hear this, it's already changed.
They choose the most ingenious designs that reflect everything evil and villainy, as well as works pertaining to anything artistic, pulp style, lowbrow, pop culture, TV, movies, music, video games, comics, etc. All things cool and evil, basically. To check them out and help out Casters Guild, click our link in the description.
In all honesty, T-Villain really does pay all of their artists, which is awesome. Like, the artists get the biggest chunk of every t-shirt that gets sold, which is one of the reasons we have no problem supporting them and being an affiliate.
I was looking at the Halloween collection you posted, and I was looking at the John Wick one. I was like, maybe.
Yeah, I think, did I buy that shirt? I can't remember if I
That
bought
was
it.
nice.
But like,
Is that the one with the samurai mask on front?
yeah, it's like half Cyberpunk, half John Wick.
Yeah, I know. That's why I think that's why I liked it. I was like, ooh,
I
it's
had to
samurai.
get that.
Yeah.
I had to get. I also almost wore my samurai shirt today, but it was T-Public, and it's also not fitting very well, so I didn't get to wear it. but it's like a album cover to a samurai album.
Oh, that's cool. I want
Yeah.
that. I want a samurai shirt.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Again, just let me tell you, because a lot of people, again, you get the gatekeepers that are complaining about all the new people coming into games and stuff like that. If it wasn't for these people coming into these games, I never would have gotten the samurai shirt that I wanted back in the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
Because, I was playing, well, the 80s, early 90s, I should say. I was playing Cyberpunk 2020 in the early 90s. And, you would see, all the stuff about Johnny Silverhand and, samurai and stuff like that. But, with our group, Morgan Blackhand was, the big hero kind of guy. But you had all this stuff that was just that would be really cool if we could get these products. But we never will because, role-playing is the devil. And, we'll never get anything like that. And then to live in this time where, I just got, a gelatinous orb die prison just from Amazon for $9. It's what a time we live in. What a time. Just a wonderful time of consumerism and capitalism. Oh, gotta love it.
Yeah, I was saying that, I just recently started a D&D campaign, and this is, really my first time playing it. I tried to play, years ago, and it just kind of fell apart. But I had recently just played Baldur's Gate, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need more of this. And I feel like even that game, I have more of an understanding, a little bit of the mechanics and stuff. Because I didn't realize how well done it actually was from a D&D point of view until I started reading the books and I recognize these things. This is really cool. Yeah. So, and obviously I played Cyberpunk 2077 as well. So yeah, I mean, it was really cool that there are ways to get into that. It's definitely, been helpful for me.
Yeah. And let me tell you too, every Baldur's Gate has been based right off of the game. I think 1 and 2 were based off of AD&D. So if you go back to play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, be prepared for it to be completely different.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely different system. But then like you said, you played 2077 and you get these people who are playing 2077. It is a beautiful game and I think it's very well done. And I believe that it didn't glitch at all or very much for me, but
a system that can handle it and don't mod it to
right.
Then, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then I know a lot of people had fun dipping into that, having a good time. But then I'm thinking of guys my age who were playing 2020 back in the day, and we had this mental image of what Night City looked like, of what the afterlife looked like, and even some of our characters went to the afterlife. I know that. When we were playing 2020, in the game, the Atlantis was the bar of Night City. The bar for these guys to go in, these mercs to go in to do their thing. But our characters went to the afterlife. Our characters made the afterlife our base of operations. And for us to be able to play 2077 and see what the afterlife looks like, what Night City looks like, it's mind-blowing.
Is it what you imagined?
It is, I will say, in parts. Parts of Night City are definitely like I imagined, but I guess I will say that when we first played, Night City was definitely flavored by the media at the time.
I was wondering how much of it was like Blade Runner-esque.
Yeah. A lot of it was very, very Blade Runner. Again, like, a lot of those early 90s kind of cyber Johnny Mnemonic, which is so funny that you have Keanu Reeves in Johnny Mnemonic, The Matrix. Now 2077 is like, he is just a cyberpunk icon at this point.
He is.
Have
you played Phantom Liberty at all?
I have not yet. As soon as it came out, I started moving. And I'm still in the process of moving.
This actually reminds me, I actually wanted to bring this up. Baron, you said you were going to start like a new campaign and possibly play through a new character from beginning before taking on Phantom Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
There are unique dialogue options in the main story if you've completed Phantom Liberty first. So, like,
Weird.
there are things that Johnny will say that are different if you've completed Phantom Liberty first. So you might want to start a new character and then do Phantom Liberty as soon as possible and just see how much it changes the story. Because I know you've already played the story to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just loaded up my previous save and like from right before the ending, because you can do like after you finish a game, it like kicks you right back before you do your ending choice.
It's
so I just started from there. Yeah. So I'll get the new ending because it's a lot more than I expected. It's a very, very, I mean, as much as it costs, it was a pretty pricey for a DLC. But so I'm glad that there's a lot of content, but yeah, it's a lot. And so it would have taken me a long, long time to do a whole new run. But I'm excited with what it's given me so far. I'm not finished it yet, but I've been working through it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to play it.
All right, hitting the rewind button here and backing us way back up, back to indie RPGs and new TTRPGs that we can play that are hitting Kickstarter. So we talked about TMNT. And then the next one I wanted to bring up was called Babes in the Woods.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It is basically an over the garden wall TTRPG.
Oh, never mind. It's not quite what my mind was imagining.
My mind just went to like Babe the Pig. I just imagined a group of pigs in the woods.
But I know you love Over the Garden Wall, Baron, and I also know you love the Apocalypse system. And it is Over the Garden Wall running the Apocalypse system. I'm just going to read this right off the Kickstarter page, just like I did with TMNT. Babes in the Woods is a tabletop role-playing game where players act as various kids and critters to wander an endless, mysterious forest on Halloween night, encounter the peculiar folks who reside within and help solve their problems while confronting your own relationships and fears, catch literal lightning bugs for the North Witch potions, bear witness to the royal cat wedding of Sir Poppy and the princess, or simply tell tall tales with your friends as you traverse the strange eternal wood. But be wary. Dark forces and foes line the tangled depths of the forest and have their sights set on you.
Nice. Now on the real, Babes in the Woods, like, all joking aside, Babes in the Woods is actually like it's a fairy tale. It's kind of like Hansel and Gretel.
Mm-hmm.
Hansel and Gretel being the babes,
right?
Which is very gross to say.
I just pulled it up on my phone, and the art looks so cute.
Now, I think that Babes in the Woods actually kicked off like a whole. It either kicked off a whole genre of like fairy tales, or vice versa, or like the other way around. But yeah, they never ended well. Never. Nope.
Yeah, and I think that's the entire point of the role-playing game too. Is the entire setting entices you to stay in the woods and play, but if you focus on that and don't focus on leaving the woods, then by the end of the night you won't be able to.
Okay.
And what is this on?
It's going to be a TTRPG. It's on Kickstarter right now, and it is powered by the Apocalypse.
Love it.
And I know you've been loving some of the Powered by the Apocalypse games recently.
Oh, specifically using the Dungeon World system as a template. So, essentially the D&D of Powered by the Apocalypse.
Right.
Can you tell me what that means for someone who doesn't know?
So, like, Dungeon World is like their fantasy setting kind of deal, but it also uses a different system than, say, City of Mist, which is also Powered by the Apocalypse. In Dungeon World, you have stats like strength and con and wisdom and all that fun stuff. And so it like I said, it's more of the fantasy beat 'em up kind of stuff. So
Powered by the Apocalypse in general is like a game engine that's much more focused on player driven than DM driven. So like in Dungeons & Dragons, for example, if you want to do something, you ask your DM if you can do it, you roll the dice, and then the outcome decides whether or not you do it. In Powered by the Apocalypse, you tell your DM you are doing a thing, and you do that thing, and then you roll the dice to find out what are the consequences of that thing.
Okay.
So no matter what, you're doing the thing, and your character has different moves that they can do, and they all just work. They're all just going to happen. It's just a matter of whether or not the consequences of the thing are good or bad or mixed.
Yeah, I think my biggest complaint about the game is that it's so hard to just get a no consequences good result. And it's like not even like you're not even getting just a huge success. It's just you do it and nothing bad happens. Everything else is literally you do it and something bad happens, or you don't do it and something bad happens, or you know what I mean? Okay. It's. I wish it was easier to just do it, but I mean, I guess it's your game. You can adjust it however you want. So if you wanted to make it
that way,
that's
the last game on my Kickstarter list here, and I am extremely excited about this one. As soon as I heard about it, I immediately was like, "Shut up and take my money!" and back to the Kickstarter. It's called Eat the Reich.
Okay.
And rather than to try to describe this one, I'm just gonna immediately start reading it right off the page.
Does it have anything to do with Sam?
I don't know.
Has he been there the whole time?
Oh, that Reich. No, it's not Reich. All right. Eat the Reich is a tabletop role-playing game in which you, a vampire commando, are coffin-dropped into occupied Paris.
Coffin-dropped!
Oh my
Paris, god!
And must cut a bloody swath through Nazi forces en route to your ultimate goal. Drinking all of Adolf Hitler's blood.
Oh my god.
It is written by Grant Howitt of Honey Heist, Spire, and Heart, and illustrated by Will Kirkby of Critical Role, Image, Dark Horse, and Boom. This over-the-top, ultra-violent game is designed to be played from beginning to end in 1 to 3 sessions of carnage, blood magic, meaningful flashbacks, and hundreds upon hundreds of extremely dead fascists. It tells one story, it tells it loud, and it tells it brilliantly. Think Wolfenstein crossed with Danger 5, and you're not far off the mark.
Oh my god. There's nothing about that I didn't like.
The art looks amazing. The characters look fantastic. There's an entire group of nuns who dedicate themselves to feeding these vampires so they can hunt Nazis. Like, your only goal is to drink all of Adolf Hitler's blood. That is when you win this game, when you manage to drink all of Hitler's blood. And yeah, the game starts with, like, you pick one of these vampires, they drop you in a coffin into Paris. It's fucking fantastic, or it looks like it will be anyway. I immediately had to back that.
What was it called again?
Eat the Reich.
Eat the Reich.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Kickstarter page, and the art is beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Of course. I don't know what it is about my ability to search for things on Kickstarter, but it's horrible. But I finally found it.
And all of the Kickstarter bonuses all look fantastic. Look, there's a lot of things where I'll say, hey, you should probably go check this out. This game, get on Kickstarter now and back this shit, because it's gonna be good.
Also because Grant Howitt's involved. If you don't know who Grant Howitt is, please look up some of his games online. He has like a whole page of just one-page TTRPGs. Mm-hmm. And this is good for, like, sit down one shots. I mean, I could mess around and probably do multiple sessions with the same characters on some of these. But he's a great developer of games. It's crazy how good. And even big companies like, Critical Role and stuff, that his stuff is good enough that they have done one-shots of their stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pre-generated characters? Okay.
Yeah, you don't get to create a character, but, like, it's meant to be, like, one shot to 3 shot. So
this is like a video game, but it's also a TTRPG.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
You're playing it like a video game where there's character select and stuff, and each one of the characters has their own powers and stuff like that. I mean, if you really wanted to make your own campaign, I'm sure you could just take one of the pre-generated characters and slap a different flavor on it. Because the idea behind the pre-generated characters is they each have their own powers. So you could just treat it like a class system and just make your own character that is that class. But the characters look cool enough that I don't think you'll have.
And it looks really freaking affordable, too.
Yeah.
I mean, my conversions may be off in my head, but £25 doesn't sound like that much.
No, not at all.
And then £50 looks like to be a pretty good deal up at the top. That may be the best deal on the page.
£50 is the one that I backed it at. There's another one called The Box, which is like £300.
Mm-hmm.
That comes in an actual hand-customized ammo box.
Right, which is cool, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
But, god damn. I guess I missed that part. It's a hand-stenciled ammo box that's painted by Will Kirkby.
Exactly. I mean, like, if you've got the money for it, it's 100% worth it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm here for it. That looks like fun.
50 British pounds to US dollars is about $60.50. Yeah.
Yep. And then the 25 is like 30. So, again, $30.
You're gonna pay more than that for a TTRPG anyway.
Oh, yeah. $30. $30, and you get the book kit, which is just a physical book, and then you get a PDF of the book. You get printer-friendly character sheet PDFs. So, you get these, you print them off, it's fine. You can go to the library, you can print these off real easy. And then Alchemy VTT access code, I'm not 100% sure what that is, because I haven't looked fully at this yet.
It's a virtual tabletop, so think like Roll20.
Oh, good.
So,
cool.
Like, it gives you all the assets to run the game on a virtual tabletop.
Oh, well then,
that's cool.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Can you imagine? Because like I said, this is pretty much a video game TTRPG. Playing this on a virtual tabletop is almost what it was intended to be.
Yep.
I'm here for it.
We've talked about running some one-shots to record for the podcast in the future, and as soon as we get our hands on this one, chances are we'll be doing this one.
I'd be interested. Especially for me. I don't have friends that are into this kind of stuff. So, like, I'm very, very new to TTRPGs. Like, been looking into them and trying to find ones that, you can play with a smaller amount of people, too. So, if you guys have any recommendations for me for, like, small players, small groups of people, send them my way.
I mean, yeah, in case anybody... We'll definitely have this conversation. But, in case anybody wants to know, we do also talk about this stuff in a few of our episodes, especially recommendations for... lower income options for brand new players.
About that, yeah.
Yep. So, if anybody wants to know any of that stuff, our opinions on that, please go back. And we'll also be talking about it in our Discord. So, we'll definitely put out some of those options.
I know. I need to get on the Discord more often. I was, like, lurking earlier on the next channels. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yep. Remember, you have to be 18 to go to the honeypot.
But yeah, I mean, just a quick answer to your question. I mean, we were just talking about Grant Howitt and his one-page TTRPGs. That's a great place. Like, if you don't have a bunch of money to spend or you don't have a big group of friends to play with, Honey Heist, for example, is one that was played by the crew of Critical Role. And basically, you are a bunch of bears trying to pass yourselves off as humans in order to make off with the honey. And you're trying not to get caught as bears. And there's a bunch of different one-pagers like that of games you can run if you just search that man's name, and you'll find all kinds of awesome stuff.
I will also say my go-to, like if you have brand new players and you're trying to teach them just the concept of like role-playing and stuff like that, Tiny D6. It's a game system that has a bunch of different settings. The Tiny Dungeon being the one if you want to do like a fantasy version. Get Tiny Dungeon. It's great. It is a very, very, very simple rule set and very, very simple look into a deeper TTRPG world.
Yeah. I think what I've been really looking in recently is also just like how much of it is good as a writing tool. You know, even looking at some of the solo games that are out there, how good they are at just getting you writing and getting your creative juices flowing.
Right.
A really good game I'd recommend that's easy to get into if you're looking for a writing tool specifically, I'd recommend Fiasco.
Fiasco.
I'm going to have to search that right now to see if it's like how available it is. Because it's an older one.
While you're looking this up, I also want to let anybody know that is looking into that Eat the Rich game. They do have stretch goals, and if you like patches, you're in.
Oh yeah.
They have 3 really nice patches.
Okay, looking this up, I would now recommend Fiasco more than ever because it was just a small little paperback book. It is now an entire boxed game. It's the same game, but they've added a bunch of decks of cards to use to help generate things for the game, and the box is only $30.
Nice.
And it is a GM-less game, so everybody who plays is a player. You're working together to tell this story, and it's 3 to 5 players. Takes you about 2 hours to get through a game.
Okay.
Which is that's a good sit down session, 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And $30 once again for an entire TTRPG that you will no doubtably be able to play over and over and over again. Would highly recommend. I believe even Will Wheaton played it on tabletop.
Does he do that show?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, I think after the Target deal ran out, they stopped playing it.
Oh, was it funded by Target? Oh, well.
That and a lot of Geek and Sundry in general just kind of went under.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I haven't seen very much from them at all.
Patrick Rothfuss played it on his podcast Overboard.
Cool.
I didn't know he had a podcast. That's the name of the Wind author, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's super into TTRPGs. He was a main member of the party Acquisitions Incorporated, and that was Penny Arcade's Let's Play show well before Critical Role became a thing.
Just started Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah.
What's that?
It is a not BDSM podcast.
Okay.
Have you,
if you say so.
You're looking at me weird. Have you heard of Dungeons and Daddies?
I mean, I have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, I thought you told me about them before, but
no. I was waiting for, like, when you were like, I just started it. I was like, is there more to that story?
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good. So Dungeons and Daddies it's a D&D game, and it's ran by Anthony Birch, and the characters are dads who get transported to the world of Forgotten Realms with their sons, but their sons disappear. So they're trying to find their sons. And it is the most ridiculous shit I've ever listened to in my life, and I love it.
I've never great, actually.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've never heard of anyone more yes and than Anthony Birch. And that says a lot. He is the most yes and motherfucker I have ever heard. Because, you know, I try to be the yes DM, you know what I mean? Like, I don't say no. It's like, I just kind of like, I guess I'm more of a yes but. I'm a yes but DM. Anthony is a yes and. It's like, yes, you did that, and this crazy shit happens. So good. And I've been a fan of Anthony Birch for a while. So to see him actually doing stuff, because I think he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it's hard for me to really keep up with what he does. His sister is out. She puts herself out there, and she does a lot of like stuff. But yeah, they're both great.
Who knew that Hey Ash, What You Playing would
Oh,
turn into that.
I know, right? I'm so happy that I got into it while it was still going.
Yeah.
You know, I was one of those people that's like waiting for the next new episode to come out, and then one day they didn't.
Yeah. But anyway, this episode really got away from us. We are well over time. So, guys,
Which is actually completely fine, because guess who doesn't have to work tonight?
it's the end of the season, and I'm so happy you were here to join us for it. Caitlyn, if anybody liked what you had to say and they want to find you somewhere else on the internet, where can they do that?
So like I said, I do have my film podcast that's going on. It's Operation Silver Screen. If you want to look, we're on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at OpSilverScreen. And also, in addition to that, I do want to promote Ultra Black. Ultra Black is a indie short film that I have been serving as a producer on. And I'm going to be having a Kickstarter, well, not Kickstarter, an Indiegogo, sorry. We've been talking a lot about Kickstarter. It was on my mind. Indiegogo is very similar to that, except you keep what you make. Kickstarter is kind of like an all or nothing type deal. But we're all going to be releasing an Indiegogo because we are in post-production and looking for some post-production funds. And what that film is about, I get a chance to work with my director, who is a friend of mine, been my film partner for a long time. And it's the story of a high school student, a black high school student, who is told that he acts white. And so what happens one day, in very sci-fi fashion, he actually begins to turn white, his skin. And so it really kind of goes into themes of self-identity and just racism in general, and how our perception of people is influenced by certain factors. And if that's something you're interested in, we will be releasing Indiegogo soon, but you can also find us online. That's Ultra Black Film.
And we were just talking about supporting your indie film artists during the strike and watching some newer cool stuff, so go check that out. All right, and with that, I think we're going to call this an episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to this season.
We're calling this a season.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know what you're looking forward to next season and what games you'd like us to play as one-shots to maybe release in between seasons, maybe as part of next season, who knows. Join us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening, and where we're going to be, and where you can hang out with us until you hear the next episode. And we will see you next season. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. Bye. Bye. Maybe next year.